Okay, everybody. So I'm telling you what, it has just been one of those days, folks. But it's a Friday. And any day that's a Friday, it's a good day. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. I got to jump on my Facebook real quick and open it up because Facebook won't allow it. Don't want to do it by itself. Oh no, we got to make it complicated. I don't know why they do this. Because I've changed the settings a million times, but for whatever reason, I just just like whatever. So let me yeah, okay. Hold on, everybody. Just hang tight, everybody. All right, public and done. There. Now we're all set to go. Uh, Everybody, welcome to the presentation. Thanks for being here. And I'm Bishop Long. And so if you want to go to my website, I'll tell you about that in just a second. But first, I want you to go to a fantastic website because these are the folks that sponsor the show. And that's KGRADB.com. That's D as in dog, B as in bicycle. KGRADB.com. Make sure you put Bishop as your promo code. But subscribe because you're going to get 30% off your subscription. And like I said, I always say this every week. It's already very, very inexpensive as it is. And why not? You might as well just go ahead and enjoy it. So get to that site, kgradb.com. Put Bishop as your promo code, and you're going to get 30% off your subscription. And remember, they sponsor all the shows. We have shows on Saturday and Sundays and Wednesdays and Fridays. So we appreciate them. Also, if you want to go to my website, it's real simple, bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com. That's more information about who I am. If you are really, really bored and you want to go there for whatever reason. And if you don't, then you can go to the church's website, usocc.org. Well, actually, I don't panhandle BG. Actually, I don't ask for money at all. So maybe next time, before you come in and being rude, perhaps maybe you should be a little bit more respectful. And that is what called block. Bye-bye. All right. Unbelievable. Some people, trolls are already out. Haven't even started. The trolls are starting. Lord Almighty. But usocc.org. That is the website. usocc.org is the church's website. So I welcome. Happy Friday to all of you. Now, let me just let everybody know. If you are watching, please understand that I run the show on 3 different computers. Okay, so I have a computer here, I have one here, and I have one over here. So you need to remember that I'm not going to be able to get everybody's, comments. I'm just not. So just bear with me on that, guys, because sometimes it's not going to be able to. I wish I could, but I'm not able to. So, but I'm sure you understand. That only makes sense. Yeah, we are on you now. I just wasn't a big fan of. I mean, the Instagram just wasn't. I wasn't impressed. So we decided, let's just go with you now and go from there. So, all right. That is what is everything. Now, tonight's going to be a really cool show. So let me just let you know everything about what's happened, because most people don't know. So normally the first hour of the show, I always teach about a topic. That's what I normally always do in the paranormal. I always teach about something. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I open it up for all your questions. So remember, I'm here a lot answering your questions live. And I try to answer as many as I possibly can. Tonight, we're going to have a really, really cool show because, first of all, we have a special guest, and we'll be talking to him in just 1 second. And I'll be officially introducing him because he's been to this location. And not only has he been to this location, but he actually did a blessing there as well. So I'm really stoked about this. For those of you who don't know, I'll introduce him in just a second. Here's a brief introduction, and then I'll bring him on. Willie Windwalker Gibson. So he's a shaman. He's a supernatural consultant. Remember, look, he's been with the paranormal for years and years and years. He's the founder of Soul Warrior Supernatural. He has a team based out of Louisville, Kentucky. He has books. He is, if you have not purchased the Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors that he wrote, you need to do that. And you can go to Amazon.com. You need to pick up those books. Now, Willie does do animal totem readings, cleansings, blessings, and weddings. He is Cherokee and Irish and lives in Louisville with his wonderful wife, Shmon. He's also, by the way, a UFO contactee. And maybe tonight, maybe we might get into that conversation. We'll just see how things go. And yes, he said he has been abducted, and his wife as well. So, but tonight, what we're going to talk about is a location that I've never been to. I've never, well, thank you. I've never been to this location before. The Bell Witch. Now, if you've been in the paranormal, or if you've ever seen a paranormal movie or television show, you probably have heard about the Bell Witch. This is really interesting because there's a lot of people who say, nah, I don't know about this. Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. The Bell Witch haunting is a renowned and mysterious case that has left researchers and skeptics perplexed for centuries. Centered around the Bell family in the early 19th century in Tennessee, this haunting has become an enduring legend in American folklore. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the historical context of the alleged supernatural events surrounding the Bell family, the impact on their lives, and the ongoing debates surrounding the Bell Witch haunting. So let me just give you a little bit of a history. The Bell Witch haunting took place from 1817 to 1821 in the Red River community of Adams, Tennessee. Now, John Bell and his family were prominent members of the community with no prior reputation for their involvement in the supernatural at all. They were respectful individuals, families. It's essential to understand the historical context in the era, including prevalent belief in the supernatural and the role of religion during the time, as it helps frame the interpretations of events that transpired during this haunting. So it's important to understand. The hauntings were said to have begun with unexplained knocking sounds and escalated to more malevolent encounters. So witnesses reported hearing disembodied voices, strange animal-like sounds, physical assaults, objects moving on their own, and even the presence of an invisible force capable of lifting people and objects from the ground. Now, the entity that became known as the Bell Witch claimed to be a malevolent spirit, taunting and tormenting the Bell family specifically. Now, the relentless torment had a profound impact on the Bell family members, and not most notably John Bell. He endured physical ailments, mental distress, social isolation due to the haunting. The entity allegedly targeted his daughter, Betsy Bell, disrupted her life to the point that she broke off her engagement. Now, the Bell Witch haunting took a toll on the family's reputation, leading to scrutiny from the community and the widespread media attention. Now, numerous theories, let's be fair, have been proposed to explain the events of the Bell Witch haunting. Some interpretations suggest that the entity could have been manifestation of repressed emotions or a form of collective hysteria within the family. Others argue that the haunting was actually the result of supernatural entities or even demonic possession. Now, skeptics have also put forth a plausible explanation involving fraud. So, yep, some people say the whole Bell Witch was a big fat fraud. Now, some people say it was natural phenomena or psychological manifestations. However, due to the limited evidence and conflicting testimonies, no definitive conclusion has been reached here. The Bell Witch haunting has left an indelible mark on popular culture, inspiring numerous plays, books, TV shows, movies. The story has become a staple of even American folklore, attracting visitors and paranormal enthusiasts to Adams, Tennessee area where it's located. Now, despite the passage of time, the enigma of the Bell Witch haunting continues to captivate the imagination of people interested in the supernatural world and serves as a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. I believe truly the Bell Witch haunting remains a fascinating and controversial case in paranormal activity. Now, whether one chooses to believe in the supernatural aspect of the events or lean towards a more rational explanation, the story continues to intrigue and even mystify. The Bell's family's experiences, though shrouded in mystery, are a significant reminder of the complexities surrounding the unexplained phenomenon in the world. The Bell Witch haunting challenges us to explore and questions our understanding of the unknown, leaving an enduring legacy in the history of American folklore. So, with all that being said, let's introduce our guest and talk to Willie Windwalker Gibson. Hello there, Willie Windwalker Gibson.
Hey, James, how are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I appreciate your willingness to jump on and talk to us about this.
Well, sure. Anytime.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of people may not know. Well, let's do this. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Maybe that I didn't get into the history, because I wanted you to tell your own story, your own history, and who you are, what you do, whatever it is that you want to share to everybody.
Well, I'm Willie Windwalker Gibson. I am a shaman. I'm a supernatural consultant, which I consult on everything in the paranormal, from ETs to angels to Bigfoot, cryptids, all that. But mainly because I've dealt with a lot of it. Yeah, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I live here with my wife, Shaman. And for a long time, we were out in the field, my wife and I, doing various cases. We were like the Native American Ed Lorraine Warren. I mean, we were called out on a lot of different things, and a lot of things that people wouldn't believe. I've been in this for 58 years, since I was 10 years old. I am a contactee. I've been into it all, Bishop. You know that for a fact. And yeah, I have been to Bell Witch a couple of times and done a couple of television shows there. So I have, I've melted with the ground there. I mean, that ground is Native American ground, so it was easy for me to go in there and walk around and get a feel for it and get the real story for it. I was originally, last time I was there 8 years ago, I was originally called in by A&E to do Curse of the Bell Witch, which they were doing a story about the person that was part of the Bell family being cursed, and I was called in to take the curse off the person. So you know the story about that, and we'll get into that later. I mean, you can lead me into it, but
sure.
Basically that was it.
Yeah, and for those of you, and we'll get into that conversation. For those of you who don't know, thank you very much. If I ever say thank you very much, is because my friends there on TikTok offer gifts to the ministry. So I sincerely thank you very much. A lot of people, and we'll talk about the Red Diary in just 1 second. There's a lot of you folks out there have questions, and I do appreciate them. So please, you can ask the questions, and we'll be happy to address those. Willie was on A&E, and when he and his wife went to the Bell Witch. Again, I've never been there. I've been to so many locations, but I've never been to Bell Witch. It's crazy. But I first of all, before we get into the Bell Witch, I want to know, let's establish your credibility to all the folks. For those of you who don't know, I'm talking to Willie Windwalker Gibson. He is a shaman, and I've known Willie for his wife many, many, many years. Many, many years. They are salt of the earth, and I mean that. I'm being sincere. If I didn't believe it, I'll tell you. I wouldn't have anything to do with Willie if I didn't. Otherwise, they are great people. They've helped a lot of folks, and I mean a lot of folks. And they're not worldwide famous because they don't care about that. What they care about is helping people, and that's admirable. And you have worked a lot of cases, and so let's establish this. How many cases would you say that you've worked that are evil, that are demonic, and then how many cases have you worked in your years? You and Shaman, have you guys worked? And tell us about Shaman too, and how many guys have you worked cases you've worked that were not demonic in nature? So that's what we need to establish first.
Bishop, I have ran across, and this is your field. The demonic is your field, but I have altogether maybe 2 times, because the rest of the times were just spirits that were pretending to be demonic. Yep. And they've revealed themselves to me to where I've actually called them down on it. As you well know, a demon will not tell you they're a demon. But they won't. You watch these shows and they'll say, "Are you demonic?" Demon. What's your name? Demon. I mean, if they were demon, they wouldn't be standing there playing around with you, because the demons I've ran into, you don't want to run into them. You don't. There was the times I ran into them. I wish you were there, but I usually walk into situations that were as demonic, and I have to take care of it right then and there. But I don't go out looking for demons. I don't go into places, that's supposed to have demonic power or stuffing into it. I don't really do that. As you well know, demons will play with your mind, and the ones I've run into, they do. And I don't go out and I don't play around with them. The demons I've ran into, I can count on one hand, maybe two in 25 years.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who think that demons are everywhere, that they're just in every single case, and it's like, no, that's not quite the case. Because it's so blown out of proportion. It's like, okay, and not everybody's possessed. Not everything is a demon. Can we please stop screaming demon as soon as you walk into a location? That drives me crazy. But you have worked demonic cases that were pretty rough.
Yeah, I have worked demonic cases where you'd think you were in a horror movie. I've worked cases where there was flies covering the wall, the smell, the person that I walked in on, the way they looked, the way their eyes looked, the way their body was contorted and things like that. People do not want to see that. The shows gets on my nerves when they walk in. Well, this place has got demons in it. We're going to go fight them. No, you don't. The times that I've done it, James, it's times that I didn't want to, because when I walked into the situation, I had to deal with it right then. And there, I didn't want this thing to follow me home or attack me. Luckily, the two times I've ran into them, Siobhan hasn't been with me. And that's a good thing, because I do not want her attacked or anything like that. So the people that goes out and say they run into demons all the time, they don't do it. It's just a hype.
Yeah, there's a lot of, anytime people say everything's demons, it's like, okay, all right. So, but you have also worked cases that were not demonic in nature as well, correct?
Yeah, well, people out there don't realize if I run into a situation that I'm not too sure about, I've got Bishop Long on speed dial, and I've called him, and he can tell you that. I've called him and said, James, I got this going on and that going on. What do you think?
Yeah.
Check the person and make sure they're not on any kind of medication, or they've been in a hospital or something like that. Make sure they're not mentally disturbed. And sure enough, I ran into one, and she kept saying, well, I'm possessed, and she's rolling her head back and jerking her head, and the bishop says, find out if she's on medication. Well, she was on Adderall or something like that. Bishop says, call the hospital, tell them their patient's going out of it again, back away. And that's a true story, isn't it, James?
Yeah, it is. You have to be very careful. I mean, this is what I always tell people because if you're taking certain medications, then certain medications affect people differently, and you got to be very, very, very careful. That's why you have to ask. You have to ask the questions. Do you have a psychological illness? What medications are you taking? Because you need to know what the side effects are. I'm not a pharmacist, but I do have enough information and knowledge to know that certain medications causes certain hallucinations or other issues with people. So. And we're going to get into the Bell Witch situation in just a second, because we're talking to Willie Windwalker Gibson, a buddy of mine, and he's been there. He was on television on the A&E show at the Bell Witch. So we'll talk about his experience in just a second. Someone asked me earlier, and I'll address this right now. And for those of you who are asking right now, we're only answering questions about this particular the Bell Witch and to Willie. But someone was asking me about the Red Diary of the Bell Witch. Now. For those of you who don't know, throughout the haunting, a diary was actually said to have been kept by John Bell himself of his daughter, Betsy. And the diary actually detailed accounts of the supernatural events, documenting the interactions with the spirit known as the Bell Witch. So it's believed that the diary was written in red ink, hence that was the name. And the writings describe the witch's relentless torment of the Bell family, including physical attacks and verbal abuse. And the witch allegedly spoke to family members, revealing secrets and knowledge that no one else could have known. And the diaries also recorded the community's reaction to the haunting and the attempts to rid the Bell family from the grip of this witch. And in addition to the diary, other witnesses, neighbors, and even reputable figures, by the way, Andrew Jackson, claimed to have experienced or witnessed the Bell witch's presence. At least that's in the diary. The haunting persisted for several years until John Bell's death in 1820. When he died in 1820, the activity suddenly ceased. So that's pretty interesting about that. So let's talk about what you did on A&E. Tell us about how that all came about.
Well, people don't realize in 2004, I was called in to Bell Witch for another television show on the Country Music Channel. They were doing a haunted special, and they wanted to go to a haunted area, and they wanted me to do that. Well, when they called me, there was a team of researchers called me and said, "We want you to go someplace with us. We're not going to tell you where it's at, but we want you to go with us, and we want you to tell us what you see and find out." So they come and picked me up and one morning, and we went. They never told us where we were going, so they went straight to the place, and we didn't know where we were at. You know, they were more or less had us in a van, and they had it blacked out, and I didn't know where I was at. So when we get there, I found out we were in Adams, Tennessee, at this place called Bell Witch. Well, at this time, I had no idea what Bell Witch was, you know. And at that time, they revealed to me the story, and they wanted me to go up with them and go into a cave that's there called Bell Witch Cave. Well, I agreed to do that, and this place, you got to be very, very careful in this place. They've got places set up for people to go there to take tours, and they got a little rest area, and you can sit there and have a soft drink and stuff, and they take you to a tour up into the cave. Well, like I said, I never knew anything about Bell Witch. I had nothing. I had no idea what they were talking about. So I followed them into the cave, and as we go in there, you go in there, and we had a television crew there waiting on us. I didn't know we were going to be on television. Well, they said, "Win Walker, this is so-and-so from Country Music Channel. He's the producer, and here's the director, and here's your sound crew and all this. They're going to go into the cave and film you inside this cave." So I said, okay. You know, that was my first dealings with a director, which was bad. And so I started up into the cave with them, and I stopped at the mouth of this cave, and I could feel this energy coming out. So I had my medicine bag with me. So I go and I sage myself, and I do my prayers. And the television crew is watching this going on. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm preparing to go into this cave because I don't know what I'm going to get into. Well, would you bless us too? So I saged them and blessed them, and we went into the cave. As I walked in the cave, I realized what was going on, because I could feel spirits, Native American spirits, and I see the spirits all around. So I knew I was dealing with Native American situation. And we were walking around, and we come across this hole in the ground that was a grave that was desecrated. It was a Native American grave. And I actually got up and went in on top of this thing and read it and told them what would happen. And the body was taken out, desecrated, and all the artifacts that were with the grave was taken. So as I moved through the cave, I could hear this rumbling sound, and I realized I was dealing with a very, very strong Native American spirit. Matter of fact, it was a watcher, and we'll get into that in a minute, because it will go on to the other story with the other television show. So as I go on through the cave, I told the producer and director, I said, you know, we have to be very, very careful, because this entity is getting very, very upset us being here, because you're walking on burial sites, because we had bodies that were buried within that cave, within the walls of the cave, and on top of the cave.
Wow.
Where we were at on the mountain. And we kept walking through, and finally I see this thing. It appeared to me as a shimmer, and it actually told me to stop, don't go any further. And I told, the producer and director this, I said, we got to stop and we got to back out. Now, this cave, it's got lights all the way through it because the people who own the property go in there and they give tours, which is they're taking their lives in their hands when they do it. And it's all through the cave, all through the caverns. I mean, it goes deep within the mountain. And I said, this entity wants you to stop. Well, Windwalker, you're telling us to stop. We're filming this, and we have no idea if you're seeing this or not. You could be saying that. I said, believe me, we do not want to go any further. Well, I tell you what, Mr. Windwalker, why don't you tell them this thing to show us it's here? I said, you do not want to challenge this entity. I was trying to show respect for what was in there. He couldn't understand that. So I said, okay. I said, Spirit of the Cave, could you show these people that you're really here? Show them your power. No, they're filming this now. The minute I said that, all the lights went out in the cave. It took out all the cameras. We're standing there in the dark. The director said, what just happened? I said, there's your proof. He said, what are we going to do? I said, and I told him this, and this is the guy's honest truth. I said, if you keep your mouth shut, I'll get us out of here. So he said, okay. And I said, Spirit of the Cave, would you please let us leave in peace? Let us leave in peace, and we will not bother you anymore. Soon I said that, all the lights came back on all through the cavern. The equipment, the cameras and everything came back up. And they're just standing there shaking. I said, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to back out slow. And they started backing out of the cave really, really slow. And I was left, I said, back out and leave me here. They backed out, and I was left there with one of the tech people with a light. I said, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show respect. I'm going to leave an offering, and you and I are going to back out of the cave really slow. So I reached into my medicine bag, which I carry with me out all the time, and pulled out a medicine pouch. And I said, Spirit of the Cave, I'm leaving this offering for you. I thank you for allowing us to leave in peace. So I take the bag, I put it down on the ground and covered it with a rock, and we backed out of the cave. All this was filmed, okay? And it was shown that night whenever it appeared. They did show that part, but they did show they cut a lot of it out to where it would make good TV if they just showed it. But at that time, that's when I knew that there was a watcher on that property. And it was that watcher that I dealt with when I went back 8 years ago.
Well, there's two questions that we have for you. So number one, when you said medicine bag, why don't you tell everybody what is in a shaman's medicine bag? And then this watcher. Now, how would you describe this watcher? Do you think this is a human spirit? Do you think, how would you define this watcher?
A watcher is put on a property like a cemetery or Native American land to watch over it to make sure it's not desecrated. And like I said, this thing, when the Bell Witch first came out years and years ago, this watcher was what was the deal there. Okay, and I will go into that as I found out later on as I dealt with this thing, because as of that time, they consider me an expert on Bell Witch. Well, before then, I didn't know what Bell Witch was, but once I got there and got on that property and I started reading everything, it became clear to me what was going on. A medicine bag for shamans. Each shaman has a medicine bag that's fit for them. They put their own materials in that medicine bag for purification and healing and all that kind of things. Because there's some things in my medicine bag that I don't want to reveal. A medicine pouch is something you can put together that's sacred. Basically, you could put tobacco in there. You could put sweetgrass in there. You could put stones in there. You can put anything in there that's powerful that fits what was going on. At that time, I just happened to have one. Something told me to make one up before I went out there. and I made it up just for that one purpose, because something told me once I got to this area that I would need it. So I had an individual medicine pouch I put together at the house before I left to leave there. Actually, I was told before I went into the cave not to take anything out of the cave, not to pick any stones up, not to leave anything there by the owner. And I didn't do it. I mean, I didn't follow his direction.
Yeah.
I was in the moment, you know.
Sure.
And I knew we were in serious trouble, and we had to get out of there. And I got the film crew out, got them back down the mountain, and explained to them, hey, you never want to challenge something like that, especially a watcher. Now, this thing wasn't demonic. It was there to watch over the land. Now, Bell Witch Cave is set up back up on a mountain, but you got the whole property below where the original house of John Bell was. And I got to deal with that on the second trip there for the television show for A&E. But that's basically what happened. I knew right then that we were dealing with a Native American problem, not anything else.
Yeah, and for those of you who are just joining, we're talking to Willie Wynn Walker Gibson. See, for those of you who don't know, I have friends from all walks of life. That's what Christians do. And so we have friends from all thoughts, all walks, all religions, all faiths. My grandmother was Cherokee. Willie Wynn Walker is a shaman, and he is also a Christian. So for those of you who are wondering, but we have to respect people's culture. That's one thing that's very, very important. Unfortunately, these days, people don't quite respect cultures, other people's cultures. Rather, they like to judge other people's cultures. I'm just a little saying. So this watcher, you would say this wasn't demonic, but you also say that this was not a human spirit?
No.
So what would you define this as a watcher, as an elemental? How would you define this as far as the identity?
I would basically say it was elemental, James, because it was appearing to me. The first time it appeared to me as a shimmer, and this thing had the capacity to shapeshift.
Oh.
Okay, it can mimic, because when I was calling out to it in that cave, it was mimicking back to me my own voice. So I knew, this thing was capable, what this thing was capable of, and I know it was capable of. It could have threw a boulder at us. It was pretty strong. And when you're trying to tell people that don't believe in this stuff, see, these people were just there for the Halloween part of it. It's a haunted cave, and we want you to do this and this. I told them, look, don't provoke this entity. Well, they just had to have some proof. Well, they got some proof, and they got scared. They got their Halloween special, because they did get it on film before they took out their cameras, and all the behind the scenes though was edited. If they had really shown that, they'd have really had a Halloween special, but they edited it out. And again, I was mad because it was edited out, because I was showing stuff and they cut it out, but they did show the lights going out, and they were all trembling there. And oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, they not only had me there, they had hired a medium to go in there with me. And that medium was supposed to be able to read it, but that medium was so scared she couldn't hardly wait to get out of there, because when those lights went off, she was the first one who screamed out and wanted to leave. So they ought to be glad that I was there, because if they'd have went in there and that had happened and she was there, there was no way it would have played with them before they let them out. So they ought to be glad they had a shaman there, because this entity knew who I was and what I was and what I was capable of doing, and it went on ahead, and I was able to deal with it.
Yeah, now Connie's, of course, now that's a good point. Connie in TikTok says, I would have been terrified. Were you terrified? Now, this was on the country music television program that you were on. So were you terrified? That was the first time you were there, right?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about who John Bell was or anything. I was just there to go to read what was in the cave.
And for those of you who don't know, we talked about that earlier today, the introduction. I gave a big, if you're just joining us, the Bell Witch is in Adams, Tennessee. And it's one of the most famous, haunted stories in America. And so when you were there for the first time on the country music television, uh, what was your experience? Was that a place that kind of made you afraid or terrified, or do you think, okay, yep, confirm there's something here, but you weren't afraid? How did that work with you?
Like I said, James, Shaman and I were being transported in the dark. They didn't want us to know anything, and there's quite a few times that's happened to me in other cases where they would blindfold me or keep me from nowhere we were even at. So I guess they wanted to make sure I was the real deal or whatever. So I didn't know about Adams, but when we got into Adams, Tennessee, I started feeling a change because a lot of the Adams is buried in a cemetery there, and as you pass the cemetery, you can feel the eeriness of the whole town. It's almost like this town depends on the story of the Bell Witch. You go into a store there. You've got Bell Witch T-shirts and Bell Witch books and replicas of John Bell's house and all this kind of stuff. And that's how they get a lot of their income there. So they really rely on the story of the Bell Witch, and they kind of shun anybody that comes in or says any different. And here I was coming in there, and I have a different take on it because I read the land, and I've ran into the spirits there. And I know the real story of the Bell Witch, in which they do not want me to say. Heck, the owner of the property, after I went there the first time, he did not want me on the property. Heck, he didn't want me the second time I was there. He told A&E, I do not want Windwalker on the property.
Oh wow. Well, let's talk let's talk about A&E. So you they contacted you and you appeared on the A&E show. What was the show? Tell everybody what the show was and how did that come about?
Okay, it was called Curse of the Bell Witch, and it was like a 6 or 7 episode deal where they told me, Windwalker, we're going to give you your own episode 5, because we have one of the people, one of the ancestors of the Bell Witch, John Bell, and he's got this curse on him, and we want you to come here and lift the curse off of John Bell and the property. And so he's having all kinds of problems with his family and stuff, and he knows it's the curse of the John Bell family from the Bell Witch. Okay, we want you to come here. We want you to take care of the land, and we want you to take the curse off the ancestor of John Bell. Okay, we know you've been here before. We know you know the land. You were given to us as an expert on this. Plus, we read about you. We know you're the guy for the job. Okay, after about 2 months of negotiations, because I wouldn't go back unless they give me what I wanted. There's certain things, because I had my wife with me, and this, she was in a wheelchair at this time, and I wanted her taken care of when we got there. And I wanted her to have her own personal assistant, and I wanted certain things done, which they agreed to do. So the day came, and we went to Bell Witch. We went back to Adams, Tennessee. They put us in a hotel. The producer came, and the director came, and I met him and all this kind of stuff. It says, tomorrow morning, Windwalker, we're going to shoot your episode, and we want you to meet us in the lobby because we want to see what your wardrobe is like. I said, what? He said, we want to see what you're wearing. Okay. So the next morning I go down, and I'm wearing jeans, and I'm my usual stuff, and I got my talisman on, and I got my prayer stick, and he looked at it, wow, that's great. I guess he figured I went to Central Casting and got something else. You don't realize I wear that all the time, So they put me in the back of a darked out limousine or 4x4, and they take me out. We drive and drive and drive. Finally, we get there. I get out there, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, And they had the camera set up and everything. So, okay, we're going to start filming. We're going to take you to the site of the actual John Bell house. Well, it's not there no more. It's not there no more, but we want you there. So we started walking. I walked and I walked. I must have walked for 3 miles. And finally, we're in the middle of a soybean field. And here's this big thing that was erected. This is a site of the original Bell Witch haunting in John Bell's house. And he says, "Okay, Willie, do your thing. We want you to start reading." And he said, "Oh, by the way," he said, come here. And he brought this guy over. He introduced himself. He said, "This is the ancestor of John Bell, and he's having all kinds of problems with his family, and he's having financial problems." And, he kind of looked pitiful. I said, "Okay, we'll deal with it." I said, "Walk with me," because I wanted to get a feel of him too. So I walked around the property, and I felt it out and everything. And the director said, "Oh, by the way, we found some Native American artifacts, and we found a Native American site that we wanted you to read." So we walk over there, and they took me into this area that had 4 stones that were in a kind of like a box, and each corner had a stone with writing on it. Well, I walked up to it, and I don't know where they dug them up or anything, but they were a couple hundred years old, and what it was marking a cemetery.
Oh.
This is a marking of a Native American cemetery. Where did you get it? Well, we dug it up on the property. Oh. Okay, give us a reading on it. I gave them the reading on it. I told them what we needed to do. So, "Oh, come on over here now. This is what we found over here." So we walked over into a wooding area. They took me to this tree, and they had witch signs hanging down from the tree. And I looked at it. "We don't know what's going on around here, Windwalker. We think there's witchcraft going on." I said, "Oh, okay." They had this thing hooked up, and sure enough, I don't know where it came from or where they got it. It was the sign of a witch, witchery. I told them what it was, and I told them, "This means stay away. We're doing stuff on this property. We're doing prayers here, whatever satanic rituals or whatever." I said, "That tells you to stay away." "Okay, let's come over here. Let's see what this is." Okay, there was another sign over there. Well, this sign says this is where they did the Native Americans planted food and whatever their crop was. This is an area for that. And I looked at the guy and said, you do know this is Native American land.
Mm.
But, well, we know it's Native American. You do know this is what the problem is. Well, this is what you're here for. What do we need to do? How do we get this curse off this man? I said, "It's going to take a ceremony to do it, and this is what I want." So I had them go out and get wood for fire. So I built this a fire stack up. I said, "We're going to have to light a fire, and we're going to have to bring the spirits in, and I'm going to have to have a meeting on the property because you're in a cemetery. John Bell's house is in a Native American cemetery. This is where you're having a problem." Well, what about the story? I said, "You forget about the story. You're dealing with a Native American problem." Well, decay dates and all that kind of stuff, and they had a problem. They had a big fight over property and da-da-da-da-da. No, that woman was a fall guy. This is just a story. You're dealing with Native American stuff, fella. And I'm telling them this on TV. I'm telling them right into the camera. And they're standing there in da-da-da-da-da. Well, this was supposed to be episode 5 called Eye of the Storm. This is where Shaman Windwalker comes in and takes care of things. Okay. You're going to give me an hour to tell you, "Oh yeah, this people will love this." So nightfall came. Okay, I build the fire. This thing on fire. I had that thing going 8 feet tall. I mean, I had a good fire going. I bring the guy over, and I do a blessing on him. Okay. And I'm telling them what to say and how to say you're sorry for what your ancestors done, and putting the house on the property when they shouldn't have done it, and da-da-da-da-da. And he said it, okay? And as the smoke rose, I mean, I had a fog going. And as I started doing my ceremony, you can look out over the property and you can see through the, I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Fog. You know, when the spirits were coming through the fog.
Oh yeah.
You could see the Native American spirits coming up from the ground. And I said, and I told the director, not only am I going to lift this curse, I'm going to release some spirits that were trapped here. Oh, that would be great, Windwalker. So I went on ahead and did my prayer on the guy, and I could feel the energy coming off of him because he had a lot of negativity energy off of him. So I purified him, and as I was purifying him, I was purifying the ground. And the people, they were filming this now, and as I was doing it, you could see these little puffs of smoke start to come up from the ground. And the director said, what's going on? I said, I'm releasing some spirits. And I told the spirits to go on, and I did my thing, and they would film this. And the people, the sound people and the camera people, they were just, they didn't know what to do. They wouldn't move. So after I did it, and the director said, cut, we've got this. And by then, this is midnight now. And all the cameras and everything and the lights, that's all we had in the middle of this area that was, they didn't even have any street lights or nothing. We were in a field. And the camera people come running up to me and says, Windwalker, we've never seen anything like that. I said, well, you caught everything, did you? He said, we got it all. And the director says, okay, we're gonna break down now. Your segment is done, but we want you to do an after segment where they have me stand and tell everything I did and all about the property and all that, which took another hour. Okay, now we're 1 o'clock in the morning, and I've been shooting for 15 hours, and I was whipped. So we all started back in the dark. All we had was flashlights and a few other and I could hear people all of a sudden hear crash, boom, and I looked around. Here's the camera people falling on the ground, tripping over stuff, trying to get out of this field. And I got my staff, and I got my, I just trucked right along. I went and got my blacked out SUV, and we went back to the hotel, and I went back to the room, and I was whipped. All I could do, I could barely make it up to the bed. And Shemai said, what's wrong? I said, man, it took everything out of me to get out of there. So I just fell in bed, and I didn't wake up until the next morning. But what the deal was, now, I'm telling you right now, this whole thing with the Bell Witch is Native American based. When John Bell came there and built that house of his, well, he built it right in the middle of a Native American burial ground, and it got the spirits mad. A watcher was there. It was conjured out. I believe it was based in the cave, and that's what the problem was with John Bell and the spirits in the house. Because, as I said, this watcher can mimic, and I think it played cool with him for up until a certain point. It got tired of dealing with John Bell, and the story is he was poisoned. I do not know. I kind of deviate from that a little bit, because a spirit will not use poison. If a spirit wants to kill you, it will kill you. It won't use poison. So I think that story was a little bit made up, for the story, but all along, Kate Bates or Bats, or whatever her name was, took the brunt of this, because they called her the Bell Witch, which she was not. She was just an innocent bystander that they picked to blame for all this going on. And they just, no matter how many times I tell the story, nobody will believe it. Well, 3 months later, the Bell Witch, Curse of the Bell Witch comes out. Okay, I watch it all through the thing, and it comes up to my episode. I said, "Here we go, Shu. I'll show you what I did." My episode premiered, and I watched it. Out of 15 hours of taping, I got 10 minutes, and everything I did was cut out. They just had me there for general information. Yeah, this is Indian sign, and this is a burial ground, and this is witchery, and da-da-da-da-da, some basic information. They cut out my ceremony. They cut out my blessing. they cut out everything. And what they did, they went and got, I don't know where they got this guy, brought him to the Bell Witch Cave. He pulls out a Bible and he starts praying and rubbing the Bible all over this guy that I had already blessed. And said, I have lifted the curse from the veil. You can go home now. Everything is fine. And I said, shoot, I said, everything ain't fine either. They just brought back everything that I did. They insulted the spirits there, and it's like I was never there. What they did.
Man, so 10 minutes out of 15 hours, folks. That's what happens when you're on television shows. You're not control. You don't control the editing. You have no control of the editing, so that you're at the mercy of the editor. And,
not only that, they lied on me, James. They said, here's what they did in that segment. The fire that I told you I built was cut out. What they did, they went and built this scarecrow in the middle of this field. Windwalker said we needed to build this effigy and set this thing on fire to lift the curse. They set the scarecrow on fire, James, and I looked at it. I said, "Oh Lord, what did you do?" And they said, Windwalker said to do this. Well, Windwalker didn't say to do that. I didn't tell them to do anything. Windwalker did it already. I built the fire. I did the blessing. I did what the man did what I told him to do. And you could feel whatever it was. Well, in my heart, James, I felt that after everything I've done, it was all a setup for TV. And if this guy was a relative or whatever, I do not know.
Oh.
I do know that he's an actor now. So if this was an actor brought in and they told me who he was, I do know he had a lot of negativity around him. So whenever I lifted from him, even if he wasn't an ancestor. But I did manage to release some spirits. The spirits knew I was there. And, I was there for a purpose, and I did my purpose. They recognized the fire. They recognized what I was going to do. They recognized the ceremony. And after that showed on TV like it did, I was mad and I was embarrassed, but I had signed a NDR, to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look, you didn't do what I said. Mr. Windwalker, you signed an agreement, and you are not to say anything about the show for 1 year. Okay?
Wow.
Or we will sue you. Okay? I'll keep my mouth shut. But I did go back to some elders, some other shamans, and I told them what had happened, because they had watched the show. They were contacting me. What did you do? Everything I did, it was cut out. And they said, well, did you do da-da-da-da-da? And I said, yeah, I did everything that I was supposed to do. Well, then you're clear. You're clear with the spirits. You're clear with us. We will tell everybody what happened. And they were mad, but they didn't say anything either. But after that year was up, I said something, because I was telling everybody what happened. But yeah, I have not had any good rapport with directors and producers, because they come to you for something, James, and you do your thing. You tell them this is the real deal. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna put on airs. I mean, I'm gonna do this. It's just like you. They've been trying to get you for years for you to go out and do an actual exorcism on somebody to be filmed. And you stand your ground. I stood my ground too.
Yeah.
So the Bell Witch is a Native American thing that happened there, and it's still going on.
So really, this has nothing to do with witchcraft. This is 100% because it's built on Native American ground.
Yes. And the Watcher now, I will tell you, I mean, it played around with them. I mean, it scared them, and they were trying. It was trying to get out of here, but they would not go. And they, like the story goes, John Bell was poisoned. Well, if he was, it had to be a human poisoning, because a spirit will not poison. If a spirit's going to kill you, a spirit's going to kill you. Now, there's spirits out there that can kill you. They will lift you up and throw you through a wall, So That, I've been told, people's call me a liar and all that, but you take any Indian out there and let them walk that land, and they will tell you the same thing I will.
Yeah, and of course, this whole thing, I mean, the Bell Witch haunting, like I said in the introduction, it took a toll on the family's reputation, leading the scrutiny from the community, widespread media attention, and people didn't. I mean, it was rough at that time, and so there's no telling. There's no telling if he was poisoned. Well, it could certainly sounds like to me that someone might have had that in the plans, because this really caused a major issue within the community. But it's interesting. So the Bell Witch really should be renamed because it seems to me basically what you're saying is it has nothing to do with witchcraft or the witch. It has everything to do with the desecration of a religious burial ground, of Native American ground, and that is it. That we're not talking witchcraft, we're not talking demonic, we're talking desecration of a Native American burial ground. Is that what your belief is?
Yeah, and one of the stories was that one of the Bell kids found a human tooth on the property under, it was supposed to be left alone, but I don't know what happened to that tooth, but I do know that there's a lot of Native Americans buried on that ground. The cave, above the cave, there's a mountain and there's a cave, but on top of that cave, there is burial sites, and they've used that cave for tours and things, and I don't know what they've been experiencing. A lot of people, Zach even went in there and set up and found voices and things like that, but which I believe he did, because I know that cave is part of the cemetery, and that cave is very dangerous. It's very narrow. All I could do to get through it, if I didn't have my staff to help me get around in there, I would have never made it. If you get hurt in that cave, you're in a world of hurt, because you have to go like sideways into different passages, and if you get hurt in there, it would be hard to get you out of there. And you got to be very careful when you're going there. And if people out there planning on going to Bell Witch, whatever you do, if you go in that cave, be respectful. Do not, and I repeat, do not pick up anything, any rocks or anything, and bring it home with you. Do not, because to them, that's desecration. Do not take anything home with you from that property.
Well, there we go. So, folks, again, we've been talking to Willie Windwalker Gibson and his experience there at the Bell Witch Cave, but really shouldn't be called Bell Witch at all. It should be it's the Native American burial ground that was desecrated, and by the John Bell family and the property. And so that's there you have it from somebody who's actually been there. He's been there a couple of times. Would you ever go back?
I've been asked back by a television show, another Native American friend of mine that has a television show, and they said, if we go back there, would you go back? I said, I don't think so, because I have done my job there, And I told them, I said, you can go there and do your filming or everything, but you got to be very, very careful. They're Native American, and they will be very respectful if they do go there. It'll be a different story with them, but I said, no, I don't think so. I thought I was really doing a good thing to get the curse off this guy and the property. I did the property, and I did the guy, but they desecrated what I did to the guy, because evidently I wasn't too television, too scary for them to do what they wanted. So they had to go. I don't know where they got this guy from, Central Casting or what, but I saw it on there, and he was rubbing his Bible over there, and he's prayers and stuff. I have lifted the curse. Well, and after they burned the scarecrow, it said Windwalker said to burn this in effigy. Well, Ben Windwalker didn't say that. I said I had to purify the property with fire, which I did. And they go out and build a scarecrow, like what do they call that thing, that festival every year, the Burning Man.
Oh, the Burning Man, yeah.
They built one of them and set it on fire on the property.
So make it official, you never said for anybody to burn a scarecrow.
No.
Okay, that was never something you told anybody to do.
I'm going to purify the land with fire, which I did.
Yeah.
They actually asked me, what do you need for the fire? I said, I need a lot of wood. They went out, actually bought chopped up wood and brought it in there, and they built it to my what I told them to do. And I set it on fire with my ceremony, and I had me about a 6 or 8 foot flame. I mean, I've seen I've seen stills of the fire I did. They've cut it out and all this, but somebody sent me a still of it. I actually asked them to give me a copy of the original thing I did, the outtakes, and they wouldn't do it. So that's our property. You ain't getting it. Okay.
So now, that's a good question. Someone's asking, Desiree is asking, when you do a purification fire, is there a particular, what do you need for the fire besides wood? Are there any, is there sage that goes with this? Or do you burn anything else that goes into the offering of the fire?
Here's what I did. I built a fire. I used sage to purify the area. I did the area in salt in a circle. Okay. You heard me talk about the pouches that I left in the caves the first time. I made 4 pouches, okay, with different things in them, and I gave them to the guy that was supposed to have been the ancestor. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to say this, throw a pouch into the fire.
And the pouch for tobacco was for an offering.
Yeah, other things that I put in there for purification too for him, because I had to build it for what was going on with him, and basically he was asking for forgiveness for his ancestor desecrating their property, and please lift the curse from him and his family. Okay. And this is for respect, and he was sorry.
All right. Yeah. For those of you who are in the chat rooms, if you have any questions, now's the time to throw them out there, because we'll be wrapping this up here pretty soon. But I'm telling you, we could talk for hours. Willie's been the paranormal for decades and decades. So, I mean, he could be a guest for 6 hours and not even tell you 10% of his experience in the paranormal. I mean, seriously, it's just one of those, because he's had so much. He's had a lot of experience. So if you have any questions about the Bell Witch, or if you have any questions related to the Native American, or perhaps even skinwalkers, and because a lot of people ask, well, let's do that if you don't mind. So, because I know people are going to ask, what are skinwalkers from a Native American perspective?
The skinwalkers, James, is very, very, very horrible individual. It's said to be a witch that has, if you want to call it demonic or whatever, I mean, this thing eats flesh. It supposedly has eaten flesh from a family member, and it's turned its life into to where it can mimic any kind of animal or person too, because skinwalkers can turn into another person too. Because I think I'm not for sure, but I think I've met one way down the road before, and it wasn't very, very nice. But this is a horrible thing, and it's part animal and part human, and it's able to shapeshift. And if a windwalker gets on your case, if it's conjured up and it gets on your case, you got a lot of trouble, because it will come after you. It will come after your family, your friends, your dog, even. I mean, it can manifest anywhere. I mean, it could start here and wind up in California if that's where you're going. So it's usually conjured up against for a certain reason. And if you run across a skinwalker on a certain property or anything, you want to back off. You don't want to challenge it, because it'll kill you. I know I've had a few teams that went off in Skinwalker's case, and they've gotten back to me and said, well, we can hear it, we can smell it, we know it's around, we can feel the energy from it. I said, you need to get away from there. This isn't for you to fight. This is, if need be, a shaman could be called out, but even a shaman don't want to go against a skinwalker unless they absolutely have to, because it'll be a life and death situation, and they usually keep away from it. I tell people if they think they have a skinwalker or a wendigo or anything like that, get away from it. And whoever that brought them out, call them out to investigate, they need to tell them to get get away from it too, because there's certain ways to deal with one of these creatures, and if you can keep from it, it's best just to leave it alone.
So would you define skinwalker? Like someone asks, a ghost, a demon, and is it the skinwalker the same thing as a Wendigo?
They're very, very close.
Okay.
They're very, very close, and you just don't want to mess with them.
Right. And how does someone turn into a skinwalker, or is that just a demon? There's it's not
they
a person.
turn into one. They have to do certain things to turn into one. They have to really turn their life into a. It's all about power, and it's a very evil creature.
Well, there you go, folks. So, if Joanne is asking, what do you have a website or Facebook, and where can folks follow you?
Okay, I'm on Facebook at Willie Gibson. They can contact me at crystalchief55@AOL.com. They can get my book, The Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors, on Amazon.com. I write a column for Underground Paranormal magazine every month. They can read about some of my adventures in there.
So let me just, I'm going to add that to everybody. That way people can see it there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and KGRADB Radio. It's crystalchief55@AOL.com. And then just type in Willie Windwalker Gibson there on Facebook, and you can follow him there. You can also make sure you get the books. He has 2 books there, and they're very detailed books. That's what I really like about them. So I encourage you, if you've not picked those books up, well, you might as well do it. If you really like learning about Native American experience and culture and belief, well, go to Amazon, and there's 2 books, The Shaman Windwalker, that's the first name, The Shaman Windwalker, and Soul Warriors, that's the next book. So make sure you, again, the 2 books are very good readings. They're very, very, so I think it's important, especially a lot of people ask me about Native American culture, Native American beliefs, the Wendigo, the Skinwalkers. A lot of people ask about that. Well, then go to Shaman Windwalker and go to Soul Warriors. And that's Amazon.com, and you can check them out. Of course, also go to Facebook and just type in Willie Windwalker Gibson, and join him on Facebook or send him an email. If you want to reach out to Willie, if you have a question or you just want to reach out, crystalchief55 @AOL.com. Yeah, that is a good question. Judy Ann is asking a question: can a skinwalker be terminated?
Yeah, but there's certain certain things that you have to do, and I'd rather just talk about it in private. I don't want to put it on the airwaves, because these things can, if they get pissed at you, they can wind up on your front doorstep, and I don't want to give out anything that out there where it could be out there for people. They can be killed, but there's certain things that you have to do. And
you are absolutely convinced, 100%, Willie. You're 100%. You'll put your reputation on the line in telling us that there are skinwalkers and Wendigos. They do exist.
Yes.
Well, there you go. So for those again, go pick up the books, guys. Do you now on your books? I know you talk about your cases, your experience, your life experience, and I know you teach about a lot about the Native American culture. The Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors are the 2 books on Amazon, and of course they can find you on Willie on Facebook. How often are you on Facebook? Do you do cases, or are you kind of retired from that?
I'm on there every day, James. People usually write me about cases. I'm getting a lot of things about skinwalkers too, and ETs and UFOs and abductions and things like that. I've got a couple of students out there that I'm teaching the shaman ways. They want to be shamans, and I think they're really good students, and they're really wanting to do the work, and I think they're going to be really good. And I do cases online. I get cases every day. Windwalker, I got this going on. Windwalker, I got that going on, and I give my experiences to them and what I've done in that situation.
Yeah, so this is a lot of great questions on here. And someone asked, is it Varela, I believe, is asking, are skinwalkers in certain areas? Are they primarily in certain areas or states? Is there a geographical area or communities that they primarily exist in, or pretty much they can exist anywhere?
A lot of them out in the Southwest area, but I have dealt with skinwalkers in Appalachia, and New Orleans and places like that too.
Alita's asking that the native tribe, you're Cherokee?
Yes.
Okay. And have you ever lived on, someone's asking, have you ever lived on a reservation? Did you have a desire to live on a reservation?
I have never lived on a reservation. We were Eastern Band. My family came from Eastern Kentucky around Hazard. And yeah, I've been asked to, come down and live on the Cherokee reservation and the Carolinas. So, I think I do well just staying where I'm at because I get a lot of stuff to do here.
That's interesting. You came from Hazard. I'll have to talk to you off air about that because that's very, very interesting. I'll talk to you about the off air. All right. Any other questions you guys have about for Willie Windwalker, and then we're going to head on out and go from there. So again, if you want to email him, you can go to crystalchief55@aol.com. If you want to go to Facebook, well, just go to Facebook and type in Willie Windwalker Gibson. And if you definitely purchase his books are on Amazon. So if you haven't purchased them, the Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors. Are you thinking about writing another book?
I'm right in the middle of doing it, James. What I'm doing, I'm collecting everything that I've written for Underground Paranormal magazine, taking those stories, and I'm going to put them all in a book so people can read them. I've asked the publisher of Underground magazine Paranormal magazine to work with me on that and later on to put all those stories together. I've got like 3 years worth of stories I've written, and I even got the artwork and everything to them. So wow. I've written about skinwalkers and ETs. I've written about it all. Yeah, well,
now Brett's asking a good question because a lot of people get confused with skinwalkers. We've talked about what they really are, but he says, would you define them as like zombies? What do they want to eat? Are they trying to take a person's energy, or what exactly are they trying to absorb, or are they trying to hurt the person?
All of it. If they want human flesh, they take the spirit of whoever they attack. It doesn't matter if it's human or animal or whatever. They'll even eat a baby if they can get a hold of one.
Great. Well, folks, so stay away from them. They're not good. They're evil. Stay away. Well, thank you, Willie, for jumping on. I do appreciate you saying howdy to us and teaching us your experience. Sure. Yeah. All right, Willie, thank you very much, buddy.
Okay, thank you, James. I'll see you later.
All right, tell Shimon I said howdy.
Bye-bye. Take care.
All right, bye-bye, Shimon. All right, bye-bye, Willie. All right, everybody, that was Willie Windwalker Gibson. I really appreciate him taking the time and chatting with us and teaching about his experience. And that's what I love about the paranormal, because we all have different experiences. And I've known Willie and his wife, Shimon, for a long time. And it's very interesting when you talk to someone about their experience, and it might be different than yours. And so I think that's really, really cool. It's interesting. He's Cherokee and I'm Cherokee. We'll have to talk about some connection there, because I think there is. I think there's certainly. So we'll have to find out. So we'll have to find out. So there you go. That's all about the Bell Witch. And hopefully you learn a little bit about the Bell Witch. A lot of people, like I said, I've never been. I have never been to that location before. This is kind of crazy. I've never been. I think it's something I would like to go to, only because, I've never been. It's historical, So wonderful. That's wonderful. That's great. That's great, Misty. So, and thank you and again, I want to say for the 106,000 likes on TikTok, thank you, Vink. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. For the gifts to the ministry, I appreciate that as well. So thanks, guys. So that's very, very nice of you guys. Okay. So if you have any paranormal questions, that's fine. If not, I have a lot paranormal. Well, no, the technically the term skinwalker is not specifically mentioned in the Bible. Remember, the concept of skinwalker originates from Native American belief, and so the Bible does not directly address or discuss that particular belief system of skinwalkers. Again, if you want to define them as demons, well, perhaps maybe it's the terminology. Ghosts exist. Well, I tell you what. Here's how I know ghosts exist. First of all, Scripture says. Scripture talks about ghosts. That's what's so amazing to me. I have talked to people for so many years in the paranormal community, and not one person ever mentioned this. Not one person in all the years that I've been involved in the paranormal community, not one person mentioned this in Scripture. And I thought, why not? So I was going through Scripture, and I'm like, well, hello, ghosts is mentioned in Scripture several times. And I was talking about the Holy Spirit. Remember when Jesus walked on water in Matthew chapter 14, verse 26? The disciples were terrified, and they said they thought they were seeing a ghost. And then in Luke chapter 24, verse 36 through 51, after Jesus was crucified, he appeared to them, and they said they were terrified because they said it's a ghost. And Jesus said, don't be silly. Ghosts don't have flesh and bones as you see that I have, meaning the ghosts are in spirit form only. Remember, if ghosts did not exist, Jesus would have said, don't be stupid. Ghosts don't exist. That's not what he said. So it tells us that the disciples had the concept of what ghosts were. They at least had the concept. And people say, well, Scripture meant demon. No, it did not. No, you can't interpret that. You can't interpret the term that actually the word that was used as demon. Impossible. So but not only that, but I've captured evidence that I know for a fact that I was the only one there. And I captured evidence, EVP, which is electronic voice phenomena. And when I played it back, I'm like, I don't know who, like, for example, I'll play it. Let me play this. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. There was I was at a cemetery, Eastern Cemetery, as a matter of fact. Eastern Cemetery, I've played this before. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, Eastern Cemetery is located in Louisville, Kentucky. And the caregiver of the cemetery, I'm going to turn the air conditioning off so you can hear it clearly. But the caregiver of the cemetery did terrible things. He actually, he buried people on top of one another, and then actually when he sold plots multiple times to people, and I mean, it was terrible what this man did. Anyway, he was in prison, and so they stopped. They closed it down. So there's no longer being used. You can't be buried in Eastern Cemetery because they really have no idea, to be honest, who's buried, if they're really buried there, if your loved one is, because of what he did. So I went to Eastern Cemetery, and I was walking past, it was where urns are. It was a little crypt there. And I just wanted to see if it would know my name. I was just curious. And I asked a very simple question. Do you know who I am? Well, I didn't hear anything at all, but I felt like something was there. I just felt like something was there. So when I got back to the car, I played the digital recorder back. And this is what I captured. So people say, well, you never share any evidence. Yes, I do. Actually, I've shared lots of evidence. I've played so many EVPs from cases that I've worked. So if people would actually go to my show and show up instead of criticizing, then maybe you would actually know that I've played lots of EVPs for my cases before. So, Shanae, maybe you should not judge, and maybe you should just watch the show more often. You would actually know that not only have I played plenty of EVPs, but I've also showed a lot of haunted items that I've collected through the years from my cases. You see, it's amazing how people love to judge when they don't know the truth because they're too busy judging. Anyway, so this is what this is what I captured. Listen to this. I said, "Do you know who I am?" As soon as it works. Oh, let me turn it up. That'll help.
Do you know who I am?
Play it again.
Do you know who I am?
I was the only one there. Now, I will swear on the stack of Bibles.
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Now, when I can hear it, it's very clear when I hear it. It actually says Seth. Some people say yes, but no. If you actually hear it, you're hearing it over a speaker or over a microphone. That's not. But it says Seth. I have no idea who Seth is, except for the third child of Adam and Eve. But as far I don't know who Seth is, but that's what it said, Seth. And but I've captured a lot. I have captured a lot of EVPs, which I played a lot of them already on many of my shows. That I can't explain away like that. I can't explain that away. And every time I do an investigation, it drives me crazy when I can't explain it logically, because I'm a very analytical person, and I like things in A, B, C order. And if there's something that happens, I do everything that I can to debunk it. I just that's my nature. And I guess that's healthy, because if I didn't do that, then I think everything is a demon, and that's not the case. I can't debunk this. Can't debunk it. Because I know I was there. I was the only one there. So it's it's one of those things. Also, let me play another thing here. Let me show you another one. My buddy and I, Steve, we were at hold on, let's see. Okay, so we were at the cemetery, same cemetery, and it was at the crematorium, but I didn't feel comfortable. Something wasn't right, and we had been there plenty of times before, but something wasn't right that night, and I felt, threatened. And I even told Steve at that time, I said, you know what, we need to stay by the car, because I don't feel there's something is not right here. Now, we heard nothing. So let me make this very, very clear. I have my digital recorder out, and listen, I'll play it.
Literally standing next to the safety of a car. I don't feel that it is safe at this point in time to move away from the car at the moment. We are literally standing next to the safety of a car. I don't feel that it is safe at this point in time to move away from. We are literally standing next to the safety of a car. I don't feel that it.
Now, people have told me, well, that's an owl. That's just an owl. Well, Einstein, if it was an owl, we would have heard it. It wasn't an owl. We didn't hear anything. We heard nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was dead still. Only thing we heard was the crickets. So because if we would have heard it, I would have said, "Did you hear that?" We heard nothing. It was complete silence, except for the crickets. No, it made a weird screeching noise. I don't know what it is. People say, "Well, it was an animal." We would have heard an animal. That's called it. That you hear it if it was an animal. I mean, I don't know why so many people. Okay, folks. Okay, on Messenger, let me say it one more time. If it's an animal making a noise, we would have heard it. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I've said it how many times here?
We are literally standing next to the safety of a car. I don't feel that it is.
I don't know. And that's loud. It was a screeching. Yeah, it sounded like an owl screeching. Don't know. Yeah, always that one person. That's the truth. It's like, let me say it again. But yeah, we just we didn't hear anything. Didn't hear anything at all. But we certainly. I mean, when I played it back, my buddy Steve was like, "What in the world?" I have no idea, Steve. But I mean, it was kind of crazy. Yeah, absolutely. That was very loud. We would have reacted. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We would have reacted, because I didn't have any headsets on, so I would have heard it. But Brett, there's one. There was one time that I actually was scared, and that was during an investigation at the Gates of Hell Cemetery. Yeah, that place is no good. As a matter of fact, you had nobody even knew the Gates of Hell Cemetery even existed. It's in Kentucky. It's an old abandoned cemetery. Nobody even heard about it. And 20 years ago, my team was the very first one to ever investigate that location. Ever. It's an old abandoned cemetery. It's very small, and it's off the beaten path. So you would have to know about it in the area. Nobody in the paranormal even heard about it. I know because I was in the paranormal over 20 years ago. But a family asked us to go there because some people were doing some things that you shouldn't do there. And so we went there. And that was crazy. I have an EVP. Again, there was something not right. And I knew something was not right. And so I asked, are you friendly? And I got a response, but it was not a disembodied voice. So let me play it for you if I can find it. I think I have it. Let's see.
Witch's Castle again.
No, that's not that one. I wasn't planning on doing this, but can't remember. No. But it was here it is. I think it might be. I don't know. No. We have so many. No.
Is there anyone?
Okay, here it is. So this is at the Gates of Hell Cemetery. And I'll talk about that in just a second.
Here?
I said, is anyone here?
Are you friendly?
Again, well, thank you. So for those of you who say, you never play any, well, yes, I do. That was we knew something was wrong that night. We knew something was wrong. We heard nothing. But what was really strange about that night is when we went there, it was around midnight. And it was in the middle of summer. And there's only one way in, one way out. It's a small little path, dirt path. And there's a fence around the cemetery. And there's trees, lots of big trees around it. And the top of the trees began to sway. And as soon as that happened, the crickets stopped. It just got dead quiet. And the only we could hear is the rustles of the leaves from the top of the tree. All the noise, all the little critters on the ground stopped. And then we started seeing shadow people dart from behind one tree to the, and there were hundreds of them. But it looked like to me they were closing in on us. They were kind of going around and going to closing in on the entrance. And we said, it's time to go. It's time to go. We're not here to do the minor rite of exorcism. We're here to find out if there's anything here. There's something here. And so we then left. And we got to the front part of the entrance. And our backs were turned except for one of the investigators. And he had a flashlight on the tree. There's a big tree in the entrance there. And we heard him rattling. He was shaking. We heard him rattling because we had big, back then, flashlights took big D batteries, folks. And we heard it rattle. And we looked and we're like, what in the world is going on? And we turned around and he saw this thing. I don't know what it is. I've talked about this before. I don't know what this was, but we all saw it. The Bishop David Price was there. He would testify on this. I've said it a million times. I'll take a lie detector test right now. This creature that we saw in this tree, it looked like 10 feet tall. It was huge. I mean, it was so clear that we could see the claws on the feet. It looked like a giant bat. I mean, the arms were completely stretched out. The eyes were a fluorescent bright red, looking right down at us. And I remember having a long torso. Didn't say a word. Didn't utter anything. No noise, nothing. But we all knew that if we stepped 1 foot closer, that was it. That was it. We were done for. I don't know what that is. Today, that it still bothers me because I can't define it. Yeah, some people say Mothman. Some people say all kinds. I don't know. I can't define what it was. But we all saw it. And it drives me crazy even today because I try to analyze it and try to explain. I can't explain that. I saw it. So, I mean, I don't know what it was. It certainly wasn't a person dressed in a bat costume. I mean, someone said, "What could have been?" No, no way. I mean, the torso was very thin. The claws were. We saw it was so defined. We could even see. Remember, he had a flashlight. He was shining the flashlight right on the thing. We could see it very clearly. So, oh yeah, I get headaches. Yeah, I suffer from cluster headaches and migraines. It's a cluster head. Yeah, no. To depict evil, it's not a problem. Why I don't think there's an issue with watching scary movies or evil movies, because people say, oh yes, that can make you possessed. If that was the case, then every single person who's ever watched a scary movie would be possessed, and that's not the case. However, I don't watch a movie where they're chanting the demon's name or they're trying to summon a demon in the movie, and they're actually using the chant to do that. No, I think we shouldn't be doing that. So, yeah, cluster headaches are no joke. No joke. So what happened is, you have to understand, we were not there to investigate. We were there to just find out what's going on. We weren't more focused on the paranormal. We were more focused on, because people were going there and desecrating the ground. So we went there to primarily see if there's any type of truth, the validity to animal sacrifices. And when we got there, there was plenty of proof there was something going on. And that's when it went crazy. And that was just, I can't explain it. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know. But I know it was something. And what, Mothman but it didn't feel like a demon, because I've been in the presence of a demonic. And so it was a different feeling. I haven't, the levitation, not in like the Exorcist movie, but I have seen levitation where the person actually went like this in a V shape, just like that. It's like someone had put a rope around the torso, like here's a head, here's the feet, and she just went right just like that. And the vertebrae, you could hear the vertebrae crack. And matter of fact, when that happened, I actually thought that she had broke her back, and it was like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do now? So, but that's the only thing that I've seen as far as a form of levitation. That was the only thing I've seen. I shouldn't say that's the only thing. I mean, that's bad enough, but that's what I mean. I haven't seen someone levitate, 6 feet off the ground or anything like that, but it was really strange. It was like, it was just this, I don't know. It was just like this. It was very odd, very odd. I did find the activity where it was, and the local. And by this was back in 2003. So I had an online radio show then, and then we went on the online radio show, and then I went on Coast to Coast and talked about it. And so now I kind of wish I didn't do that, because now a lot of people go there, but it's known as the Gates of Hell Cemetery, and that's how it got its name. Because when we went on radio, I said, folks, this is like the gates of hell. And that's it. That's how we're going to call it the gates of hell from now on. But this thing that we saw, I don't know. What gatekeeper, Mothman, I don't know. Wendigo, Skinwalker, I don't. It was something. I wish I could define it. I think that's really what bothers me even today, because I can't define it. And that drives me crazy, because my brain is so, it's just, I like to analyze and I like to come to a conclusion, and I can't conclude. So, no, she didn't break her back. Thank God. I have someone who's medically trained with me if I'm doing an exorcism, because I'm not medically trained. But I heard the vertebrae crack, and my original thought was, oh dear God, because that I was legitimately concerned for the body's well-being. How can it rest? Well, what can I do if I have a spirit in my room? How can it rest in peace? Well, first of all, here's what you need to do. There's a difference. And people say all ghosts are demons. Folks, I'm telling you, that's not true. It's just not true. That's someone's opinion based on what? How many cases have they worked? I've been the first time I investigated was 35 years ago. Yeah, folks, I'm in my 50s. And so that's the first time I've ever investigated, 35 years ago at Waverly Hills. And I'm telling you, I have it. I see these things. I work the cases, and people say, "Well, I have investigated thousands." There you go, 11,569 emails. Now that's for 4 or 5 days worth of emails that people have contacted me and asked me to go help them. So I've been to thousands of people's homes. And I'm telling you that as clergy, as an exorcist, not everything is demonic. It's just not. And I'm telling you that from somebody who actually I've worked the case. I'm on YouTube. You can go to bishopjameslong.com and you'll see my social media links there. And just click on that social media link. It'll take you to YouTube. But so let's say that you have perhaps you think there's someone there. This is what I do. First of all, I strongly encourage you. Okay, I'll answer. I strongly encourage everybody. If you're a paranormal investigator, or if you think there's a spirit there, do a prayer called the Epiphany of the Doors. It's also called the Blessing of the Doors or the Chalking of the Doors. You can Google it. It's there. It's very easy. It's a very simple and ancient prayer. It's a blessing of your home. And what I also do, if I think, first of all, there's no spirit here. The only spirit in my home is the Holy Spirit. I don't want any other spirit here. I don't want any other spirit in my home. That's my rule. I don't need a loved one coming into a loved one who passed away to come saying hello. No, you're going to say hello to me. You're going to say hello to me when I'm walking in the park. But you ain't, no. Here is my sanctuary. So no, we don't do that. So I've set boundaries. That's not going to happen. So the only spirit that I accept in my home is the Holy Spirit. That's it. Anything else? Nope. So my family members who passed, sure, you can send me a sign when I'm outside walking and doing my 5-mile walk every single day. No problem. But not when I'm in here. So that's my rule. Now, what I do is I ask God to help ask their intercession for their guardian angel. And so a guardian angel, whomever you may be, I ask that you please help the faithful, the departed, and bring them into the presence of Christ. May their sins be absolved in the name, of course, as a priest. There's an absolution of prayer. So since you are not able to do the absolution of prayer because you don't have faculties, then you can say, Heavenly Father, I ask you forgive them for all their sins and bring them home. Help them. There, that's it. Yeah, you need a background that lights up and pumpkins. Well, I got up in there and someone already called me a heathen. So you guys can't. See. Someone called me a heathen because I have a pumpkin on this. And okay, thanks for your opinion. Let me go home and cry to my therapist. Yeah. Yeah, but I agree with you. I agree. I should light that sucker up just to really tick them off. Yeah, they did. They called me a heathen. Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, what are you going to do? So anyway. No. Do I get scared when I do my research? No, I don't get scared. I don't get scared from the demonic issues. My fear is for the person who's possessed. Because the concern that I have is that the body has been through severe trauma. The body can only sustain so much. Thank you for the gift. The body can only sustain so much trauma. And so when a person is possessed, they go through infestation, oppression, obsession, possession. So the demonic will attack the intellect and will of the person and break the intellect and will down. And then possession takes place. So my concern is always for the person who's possessed. And it should be, because the body, again, there's a lot of trauma that the body has endured. And so that's the biggest concern that I have when I do an exorcism. You don't. You have no knowledge of being possessed. None. People who have been legitimately possessed, and even in the Roman Catholic Church, which, by the way, they're the ones that actually created the Roman Rite in 1614. In the Catholic Church, in the Roman Catholic Church history, there's never been anybody that's remembered the stage of possession. They simply don't remember it. They remember what led up to possession, But actually, the stage of possession, no, they almost go into a catatonic state. They have no memory of it. What about people who work with demons? I think that's pretty stupid. And you know, what can I say? I don't know why anybody would do that. For the love of all things holy, I just don't know, you know. Well, yeah, you can absolutely, you can pray again the prayer and ask the intercession for the guardian angels to help move them along. Oh, that's awfully loud. Who's that? Someone's always sending me messages when I'm in the middle of a presentation. Okay. None. Okay. What? So someone is asking, what is my best pickup line? Oh. This is Paranormal Night. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, folks. We have just proven paranormal exists. I'm celibate, and okay, so there we go. I guess my pickup line. You want to go to a Mensa meeting? I mean, there you go. I think that's as good as it gets. That's probably as good as it gets. So there you go. All right. You have to be, you know, it's one of those. It's one of those things. One of those things. Well, I love Psalm 23, and I also Psalm 91. Psalm 91. Hello, Ireland. Psalm 91 is actually also known as the Exorcist prayer. And so, well, I'll be right back. Yeah, Psalm 91 is what I would encourage you to. Well, thank you very much for the jellyfish. And I do apologize for those of you who have been offering gifts to the ministry. I'm so sorry that I've not thanked you. It's just because, like, when I'm doing a presentation, I have 3 different screens. So thank you very much. And thank you for the 138,000 likes. I really, really appreciate that. And the gifts. That's very, very kind of you. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so, Psalm 91 is great. Of course, also I'm very devoted to the Blessed Mother, so I also pray the Rosary. So hopefully that answers your question there. You can Google Epiphany of the Doors, or Chalking of the Doors, the Blessing of the Doors. You can actually Google that. And well, thank you very much. I believe that there will be a form of taken up. Some people will refer to that as the rapture. People say that's a Protestant term. However, it's very clear in Revelation that the end of the church age will occur. So before tribulation occurs, you and I, people who believe in Christ, we're up, we're gone. And Revelation, matter of fact, I spent 6 months teaching about Revelation. I went by verse by verse by verse. So yeah, I spent a long time. Okay. Well, we don't know. I don't worry about when that's going to happen. Because we can't control it, right? We can't control it. So absolutely, I believe we all have guardian angels, and we most certainly can. Oh, okay. Someone on Messenger. You're a fake priest. You're a fake bishop. There's no such thing as the rapture. Okay, sunshine. The concept of the rapture is actually mentioned in the Bible. The term rapture itself does not appear in the Bible, but the idea is derived from several passages. So, sunshine. One of the most commonly references the passages of the rapture is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16 and 17, boys and girls, which says, "For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive shall remain, be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. So that's the definition of a rapture. I mean, call it popsicle if you want to. I don't. Oh, some people. Yeah, I did talk to Lorraine Warren about the nun and her experience, and yes, she absolutely was convinced that was what she knew. That was absolutely real. So yeah, she. Folks, please don't send message on Messenger because I'm trying. I got three. I've got three different computers running at the same time. It's a little bit much. Yeah, but she did. Because the Conjuring was based on a true story. But there are some people saying that the nun was a fictional creation, because it had its own spin-off film. But there's debates. Some people say that it presented itself as something good, and then of course showed its true self, which was demonic. Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot there. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Well, Protestant and Catholic. Protestants do not believe in what's called transubstantiation. Catholics do believe in transubstantiation. Transubstantiation meaning is that the Eucharist becomes the true divinity and humanity of Christ. Full humanity and divinity. So we believe that is the true presence of Christ. Whereas, of course, the Protestant faith believes it's more of a symbol. We do not. How do we know if someone is demonic? We're not demonic. We can't be demonic. Now we can have a demonic attachment. I think that's what you mean, because demons are fallen angels, and we are created in God's image, not angels. So we're two different species altogether. So we cannot be demonic. So we can have demonic attachment, and that certainly does happen. And welcome everybody. For those of you who are new now, I appreciate you guys being here. And yeah, he did. Yep, fallen angels. So if someone has an attachment, many times they will have an aversion to religious objects or places. They'll have a behavioral change. Sometimes they have literally when a behavior changes like a 90-degree turn, where they're very nice and very kind and for their whole life, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere they get really nasty. As a matter of fact, that actually happened in one of my cases on the Eli Roth show. The Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists. That actually occurred. She was doing some things she shouldn't have done because she was bullied in school. They really picked on this girl, and she had read about the Lesser Key of Solomon, and she thought that if she would summon demons, that this demon would do her bidding and actually punish the people who were bullying her. And she went from one of the most loving people, loving children. I mean, she adored her family, adored it. And she went from that to hatred for no reason at all. I mean, her eyes would even turn black. And matter of fact, her eye at the exorcism that I performed, her eyes did turn black. And solid black. There was nothing there. And that was because she was bullied. And unfortunately, well, you're very welcome. And unfortunately, a lot of people say that you can summon demons. Okay, Mr. Bruce, you can summon demons. They say you can do this to help. Well, thank you for the universe. I appreciate it. Thank you, very kind. They say that you can summon these demons, and these demons will help you. Folks, this is an incorrect belief. The whole story, Solomon's story, the whole point was, the belief was, is that Solomon had this ring, this insignia ring, and that he could summon these demons because he had so many wives, so many pagan wives, 300 wives, 700 concubines. And many of these wives wanted temples built in the honor of their god. And so the belief was, the story was, how in the world did he possibly build all these temples? Well, the story then started turning down that he summoned demons to do his bidding to build temples for these false gods. I'm telling you, if you go online and you start searching for insignias, demonic insignias, and summon demons because you think they're going to help you, I guarantee you, you're going to end up having to call somebody like myself to clean up the mess. And you have to understand, there's no quick fix to this. And once you go down that road, it could take years. This is not a hocus pocus kind of a thing. This may take a long time to remove a demonic attachment and possession. So stay away from it. Stay away from it. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Unfortunately, we have to, we're going to be wrapping things up. I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little bit longer with you guys because, daggone, it goes by too fast. It does. I'll be on tomorrow night with Miss Wilma. Miss Wilma is here from 8 to 8:30. We just have a good time. We chat about a lot of cool things. We just goof, and then I answer all your paranormal questions all over again. So, but we do that at 8:30. 8:30. For those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and KGRADB, and YouNow, and TikTok, look, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, folks, you're priceless, and never let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB Radio. Talk to you later.
The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.